Hello, everybody. My name is Darren. You might know me better as Melanie. And I'm quitting WitchTok. Here's why. This is the fourth time that I am trying to make this goddamn video. And every single time I wind up coming to a point where I start getting caught up on the odds and ends and hyperfixating on certain parts, and I get carried away. So I'm going to try to do my goddamn to actually stay to the point. And that has everything to do with me. I realize right now it sounds a lot like it's not you, it's me. That's why we're breaking up right now. First of all, let's start with the basics. My name is Darren, and by taking on the name Melanie, I have tried to turn myself into something that I am not. First of all, I am the current host of my DID system, and for 10 years that was Dahlia. And when I first started this YouTube channel, I was the host and did not realize that I was not Dahlia. I still believed that I was the host. Looking back now, I can figure out that the host switch took place at the very end of 2016. Dahlia did not know the rest of us other than myself. In March of 2020 is when I met my headmates, so even though I talk about them a lot, I've only really had constant interaction with them for just under 2 years at this point. When I got to know them, it was through them sharing their memories of me with me that I was able to start piecing together that I wasn't who I thought I was. And then in December of 2020, 4 years to the day, I realized that I was Darren. Ever since then, I have struggled with this sense of identity because I was essentially living a double life where I didn't realize that I wasn't who I thought I was, and I was doing that for 4 years. And ever since I realized I was Darren, I've had a lot of cognitive dissonance trying to figure out who I am since I had realized that my headmates were there and then realized that I was Darren. First of all, I realized I was a woman, and I came out as trans. And for just over a year now, I have been medically transitioning. There's one problem with that. Darren's a guy. So how did I find myself in a situation where I came out as a trans woman even though I was Darren? Well, that's because I'm a trans mask alter. Technically, I am an AFAB alter, which is a little interesting because I wasn't necessarily born as an alter, though technically I was. It was just in my own unique way. But when I formed, I was female. And then I realized one day, no, I don't think I'm a girl. I'm not. And at that time, I didn't have an understanding or a concept of what transness or a trans identity was, but I was effectively a trans alter. So now, as Melanie, I have made this statement about myself to the public that I am a trans woman. But what does it look like for me if I just double back and be like, nope, I'm not trans anymore, but I'm still trans. I'm trans, but I'm not trans, but I'm trans in a different way. How do I really go about that other than presenting it in this way? Because at the end of the day, transitioning into a female body is still it. Top growth. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. The way that my face has changed and the way that I have started changing shape. Yes. This is what I want. I realized somewhere along the way that it was not to become a woman, but it was to become myself. Then I came to realize that the projection of myself, what I put out to the world to demonstrate who I am, isn't representative of who I really am. And I realized that this started at a certain point. That moment was when I realized that I was Darren, but still chose not to be Darren. Part of that has to do with the fact that I didn't completely recall all of my memories when I was the protector of my system, when I was living my life as Darren. So instead of being Darren, I continued to uphold this idea that I had for myself. I continued to search out into the vast wilderness that is the internet and the world around me to try and figure out where this new, dead, then reborn Darren fits into everything. And I've only made myself more goddamn confused. And a large part of that is because my trans identity and my trans journey does still mean an incredible lot to me. And even though I am right now coming out to everybody as a trans mask alter, living in a trans femme body, I still don't want anybody thinking that I'm a man. I'm a guy, I'm a dude, I'm a boy, but I am not a man. And that's when I looked at myself and realized, I think I'm just non-binary. And I've just been skirting around this the entire time, being like, I don't know what the fuck to call myself. And for some reason, I got caught up in that. I got caught up in what I need to tell people so they understand how to perceive me. Being perceived in a certain way means a lot to me, and I don't fucking know why. And then I realized that was the incredibly poignant entirety of my absolute defining problem. I am worried about the way that the outside world perceives me. And my TikTok content reflects this so incredibly much. Now, at this point, I'm sure if anybody is still with me, they're wondering, okay, well, why does this mean that you're quitting WitchTok? Let's get to the point. Now, there are two things to understand with this. One, the algorithm. Two, not liking what I'm doing. Let's start with the algorithm first. The TikTok algorithm is one of the most sophisticated algorithms that are out there. And because I am a very analytical person, I have kind of started to understand how this works. Effectively on TikTok, the main vehicle in which you are driving to see the TikTok around you is you scroll your For You page or you search things up, and based on what you like, the content creators that you follow, and the things that you comment on, well, that is exactly what the algorithm is going to show you now. And that is exactly why my For You page is completely comprised of witchy and spiritual content, leftist philosophy, alt-scene subcultures such as emo, metal, little bit of punk here and there, usually tied in with the leftist philosophy, and queer culture. My hand is in queer culture. Now, on my main TikTok account, JustJaquel23, I have made a niche for myself, which is the witchy and spiritual content. Since that is the stuff that I have been continuously posting and the stuff that I have been uploading regularly, using pretty much the same exact hashtags, that's the stuff that's going out there. That's the stuff that's getting pushed into the algorithm because now at officially 17K followers on TikTok, apparently people like what I got to say. Now I realized something that's a little bit more accidentally insidious. In an attempt to make the algorithm on TikTok a little bit more sophisticated, what they did was the people that you follow, the people that you're mutuals with, and the people that follow you, what they interact with, and what they comment on and what they follow is also going to get pushed out to you. Me. What I'm following is going to get pushed to me. You. What you're following is going to... I'm getting caught up in this loop of words and phrasing. Let's move on. And then one moment, all of a sudden, there it was. The echo chamber. I understood what it was. I understood the echo chamber and the collapse of context. Basically, TikTok has a whole bunch of different communities. And within those communities, there are a bunch of different hashtags associated with them. So now everybody funnels into this same community. And even though you may be a part of several different communities, those are the echo chambers that you are now a part of. Those are the ones that you're seeing and where your head is stuck directly into. Now, when you are in an echo chamber like this, you wind up hearing the same things repeated over and over and over. The same lines of discourse, the same diatribe, the same issues that pop up earlier pop up again. It's just the cycle of regurgitated information that winds up being what is in your space, in your circle, in your sphere, and is presented to you in front of your eyes. That's your echo chamber. But because the algorithm is set up in specifically this way, it is very difficult to break out of that echo chamber. And the algorithm and the way that it's set up is exactly 100% why. Now, I'm going to admit that my bias is through the lens of a content creator. So that's the perspective I'm coming from. Let's go and we'll go turn the dial back to the beginning of this year, 2020. I was saying that I'm exhausted, burnt out, tired of making the witchy content, and this is something that I have said more than a handful of times. But I was really trying to break away at that point, and I wanted to bring my character, Jaquel, to life. Jaquel is the half-orc, half-elf, eldritch knight, multi-class with necromantic wizard that I made in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Jaquel is the mascot for all of my social media. And I wanted to bring Jaquel, but why is this doing something to my gender euphoria? Oh my god, why the ears? Why the ears? The ears stay on during sex! The ears are staying on at least for another minute because I'm enjoying the look. I don't know why. Maybe this says something about me. I don't know, but the ears. At the beginning of this year, TikTok experienced an incredible phenomenon, and that was the banter war. If you aren't familiar with it, it was a platform-wide LARPing experience where people were getting into the lore and building their own, and it became one of the most beautiful, amazing experiences. My ears are about to fall off. One of the most amazing, beautiful experiences that I have seen, where a community across multiple communities came together and just started LARPing. Barriers between communities were knocked down, and people were interacting with each other, and it was beautiful. My heart sang, and I saw an opportunity to introduce Jaquel. Something that I'd never done before on this channel, where I first started coining the name Just Jaquel as my entire brand. And then I experienced something. That content was not getting picked up because it was not the niche that the algorithm had put me in. I was making witchy content. That doesn't mean that that content didn't get picked up at all, but my content before that was getting like anywhere between 1,500 and 5,000 views. And now all of a sudden it was in the hundreds, couple of hundreds. Maybe all the way up to 1,000, but not really. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to fall off completely. The Vanta War is over. I closed off Jaquel's story arc in the Vanta War. That's fine. We'll set this down for a minute. We'll focus on other things. And I'm going to talk about witchy stuff for a minute. And maybe that'll get some traction built back into my page. And I started talking about death work. And then that video took off. And then the next one kind of took off. And then we see this decline in interaction. What happened was I was making different content. And since I switched back over to the old content, the algorithm forgot about me. And ever since then, this has been the phase that I have been going through, where I will make a video and it pops way the fuck off. And then I'll make another video in conjunction to that. Very recently I made a video, let's talk about Zeus, where I'm talking about Zeus. Zeus, the yellow candle on my altar. I work with Zeus now. So I wanted to talk about Zeus. And then I made another one after that. That one was extremely successful. After that, And then the one after that, that also included Zeus, even less. This is the trend that I have been fighting against ever since the beginning of this year. Meanwhile, alongside that, trying to get back into the witchy stuff, trying to make witchy content again, because at this point it kind of feels like a job where I can start making content and then also tell other people about the other stuff that I'm doing. The algorithm doesn't like that. The algorithm doesn't like that I'm talking about the Big Red Play Button channel, this channel. The algorithm has made a judgment on me, and those videos where I'm asking people either to please consider supporting the channel or where I am talking about the videos that I've uploaded here. It's dead. That shit doesn't take off. Which is very concerning for me. Unfortunately, due to really weird and unfortunate life situations right now, it's very difficult for me to find a normal job. Because my personal life schedule has complete ice cream scoops worth of time taken out of it. So unless I'm working third shift while simultaneously trying to raise a kid part-time and driving to go pick him up from school, bringing me into an environment where I'm never getting any sleep and then always resting and always sleepy and always grumpy and always pissy, which is terrible for my mental health. Well, long story short, I'm stuck in a situation where I gotta do stuff like this to make money and ask people to please consider supporting the channel. Now, those videos are not getting put out into the algorithm. I'm not making money now. I haven't made a cent other than a couple of dollars here and there. By the grace of the gods and the beautiful people who find my videos and still have the beautiful hearts to support me. But it's still not coming in the way that it used to because those videos aren't going out the way that they were. In other words, my TikTok page is dead. And I mean dead. Other than a couple of videos that every now and then pop off here and there, nothing is coming to me from my TikTok. Views, eyes, opinions, interaction, it's not coming to my TikTok account. And then my content is not going out there. It's not being shared for other people to see. You know, I don't want to make it sound like the entire reason that's important is because that's how I make money. But I do also have things that I feel are important to say, sometimes things that need to be said, albeit sometimes a little controversial because it goes against the grain of the current popular discourse. That's still one of the reasons I want people to see my stuff, because people have voiced to me that they love what I have to say. They like what I have to say. I don't know how many times I have gotten either direct messages or comments saying that they love my content. People love to hear what I have to say, and they love every single morsel. Directly quoting somebody right now. And this is completely unprecedented. I never thought that any of my social media would ever gain that kind of success. I never thought that I would ever be at the point of any kind of social media notoriety where people are saying things like that to me. Because at the end of the day, all I'm doing is just talking. I'm just talking about stuff. Things that I like, the things that I'm interested in, the things that I'm hyper-fixated on, the things that are my special interests. And then I'm sharing my opinion. And then I'm sharing my point of view. And people love that. And I love getting to talk about it. I love getting to talk about it. And I am so incredibly grateful, blessed, and privileged that I have an audience. What's the fucking point of TikTok isn't going to put it in front of my audience? Now, before I get too carried away on that tangent, I want to focus again back on the echo chamber and the collapse of context and how that's really affected myself. Now, let's go back to the echo chamber. We're thinking about the echo chamber where this community is in and of itself in a little bubble, and only the same few voices are getting heard, the same lines of discourse, the same everything is just what's getting echoed in this chamber, in this community. Part of the problem with the way that TikTok is actually set up is that it destroys context. As a creator, your TikTok is going to give you the options for 15 seconds, 60 seconds, or 3 minutes, which means you have a maximum of 3 minutes to provide all the context that you need. Now, that's a double-edged sword in two areas. One, that means you need to provide all of the context that you need in that limited amount of time. And then some of the more interesting and finer points that you need to provide for your point gets left to the wayside, because now what should be a 1 minute straight to the point video is a 3 minute video where you are providing all the context that you need, and things still get left on the cutting room floor. And then two, that is the content that's getting put out there and getting batted around into this echo chamber. That limited, cut down, bleached down, washed down, oftentimes whitewashed interpretation of what you're saying, even if you do have all of the context that you could provide if you had more time in a video, yeah, it's still going to be a bad representation of what you have to say. Unless you do like what I do, where it's like, All right, this is part 3. In this video, I talk about this. We're moving on from that point of view. But then that second video, that third video doesn't get put out into the algorithm, and all people have is that first video that is getting popularly seen, unless they go into the comments and see, oh, they had more to say. And sometimes I personally don't have the time to say, oh yeah, there's going to be another part. Stay tuned. This puts creators in a very tight bind because we're not able to provide what we need to provide. We're not able to give the context that we need to give. So a lot of times we say, oh, do your own research, at least within the witchy circles. Do your own research. Oh, here's a couple of jumping points. People get really upset by that without understanding, like, oh yeah, here's what the fuck is going on. And sometimes people say, do your own research, but also don't really have the words to express why it is so important to do your own research. Unless you do a video and explain in that video and hope that the algorithm picks it up. Now, for me, myself, and I. Sorry, I need another I. God, that was really bad DID humor. Moving on. What this has done for me is that it's put me in this habitual space where I'm running the same 5 things over and over and over. Provide cultural historical context. Everybody's practice is valid. Let's take a deeper look into that. And then I just wind up saying the same shit over and over and over. And some things I've been saying since I started uploading. It's driving me fucking insane. Really, it is. And I think in some ways, a lot of my content on TikTok recently has very much reflected that. I did a video where I'm talking about how opening up space for trauma survivors who work with Persephone, opening up space for those stories is important. And then I shared my story as a trauma survivor who works with Queen Persephone in the center of my altar now. And then somebody said something, and it was to them harmless. But I made 2 videos afterwards talking about why things like that, comments like that, are absolutely part of the problem that myself and the person who inspired my video, Hecate and Foodie, are trying to talk about and address. 2 months ago, that would not have bothered me nearly in the same way, and I would not have taken the time to address it. And although I am not going to take back what I said, I still am noticing how my attitude and what I'm bringing to my content is still different. Because I'm fed up. Now, let's go back to the idea where for some reason I seem to care about the way that people perceive me. Because of the content that I have made, the things that I have talked about, the way that I talk about them, and the habits that I have made for myself going about this, I have made an outward persona for myself that I realize doesn't represent me or who I am. And slowly but surely, my irritation has been a sign of this. My frustration with everything has been a sign that I am just ready to argue until the cows come home. And yeah, I've said argue. It's not exactly healthy. But in some ways it is healthy, at least for me, the way that I'm feeling about it, because now it is opening up an opportunity for me to say the things that I have been wanting to say, that I have been sitting on for so long. And now those things are coming to the surface, and what people are seeing is a more aggressive, frustrated version of myself that is completely different than the Melanie that everybody has gotten to know. And that is entirely because I was trying to perform Melanie. Melanie is just a name, and it is a name that I took on, and it was in part realizing that I did not have the memories to actually live the life of Darren as the host. But I always knew at the core of myself I was Darren. But instead of trying to find a way to revive those old things, I got caught up focusing on Melanie and who Melanie is and who Melanie is supposed to be. I got caught up in being somebody that the public has come to expect. And the more I did it, the more I became frustrated with that and myself. So in many ways, yes, Melanie is still me and I'm still Melanie. But even when I realized that I was Darren, I did not know what I had to do in order to pick up the mantle and be Darren again. And that means nothing to people that don't have the context for what it meant for me in my system and the people around me in high school and after graduation, what it meant to be Darren. So, since we're on the topic, kind of, on context collapse, let me provide some context for who Darren is, or at least who Darren was. First of all, hi, my name is Darren. Take a good look at me. This is Darren. This is what Darren looks like. However, on the inside, I'm a little thinner. With the skinny jeans, at one point, it was DC's and not Adidas. Or at several points, I have done something like Osiris's or Nike high tops. Once upon a time, the amulet that I wore was a cross and not a Mjolnir. And this is exactly what Darren looked like. What did Darren act like? Darren was a stubborn, hard-headed, quick-witted, sharp-tempered, smart-mouth asshole. When Dahlia was the host, I didn't come around all the time. But when I did, it was usually in a time of turmoil. A time where Dahlia was very frustrated with life. A time where Dahlia was very depressed, going through a hard time. And usually it was because friends that she associated with and spent her time around were getting her down. Darren was the motherfucker who stepped forward and said, "Look here, motherfucker! You're going to back the fuck off. And here's exactly what's going on because your stupid fucking thick skull isn't understanding correctly." That was exactly who I was. And I did very similar things with Dahlia. Now, the difference with Dahlia is I actually like Dahlia. I actually love her very much. Previously, we were not together, but now we are. We are a thing. I'm actually romantically involved with all three of my other headmates. Oh, that's another video in and of itself, but I love her very much. However, back in high school and shortly after high school when she first got to know me, the way that I expressed this was very much more of a brotherly love of, quit doing the thing that's hurting yourself. I didn't often use my words a lot. I would use my actions, and when I did speak, I would speak at great lengths to explain, look, here's why it's fucking stupid. Why don't you understand what you're doing is fucking stupid? Now that I am a much more mature, much more older version of myself, who has also lived the experience now of being the host, I understand that I was actually just straight up being an asshole, and I was talking from an experience that was mine, and expecting Dahlia to live up to that. I was sitting there, laying down, getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm thinking about all of this last night, looking at the frustration that I was feeling, getting so fed up, realizing that Melanie needed to die. And then I remembered, holy shit! I am in Dahlia's position. I am walking in her shoes. And Dahlia was in headspace with me. And I just looked up at her and I'm like, I fucking understand now. I am so sorry. Oh my God. I was an asshole. I get it now. I get it now. And then suddenly I realized and I remembered exactly who I am. I remembered that this is who I am supposed to have been. Not the smart mouth asshole who's telling people that they're fucking stupid because I don't understand. That's not it. Regardless, I have still spent the last 4 years plus a couple of months being the host. I have changed and evolved and become a different person as Melanie. The problem is Melanie became an idea of me. Melanie became the outward projection of who I wanted others to perceive me as. Because at the end of the day, I have always believed and been convinced that if the outside world knew who I was and what I was like, nobody would fucking like me. And that's why I'm worried about how the outside world perceives me. Because even back then, I knew I was a fucking asshole, and I knew I was in the wrong about a lot of things. But since then, I've also learned a lot. I learned that I have borderline personality disorder, and I've learned how to cope with that, to where it only becomes a problem on really bad days. I know now that I am autistic. I did not know that back then. I know now that I am absolutely comorbid with ADHD. I did not know that then. And these are things that I became diagnosed with and came to understand and started learning how to cope with these things. So a lot of the things that were a problem with my attitude then really aren't a problem now. Except for me getting fed up with stupid people bullshit. That is still a thing. But now the problem is that I am in this echo chamber, looking around going, are you people serious? Are you people serious? Really? This is what we're arguing about. And I know, some things should be argued about. Some things should be called out. And like cultural appropriation, call that out for what it is. People are being dangerous megalomaniacs, call that out for what it is. People are being problematic or even behaving dangerously, call that out for what it is. But why are we talking down to people who talk to deities regularly? Why are we criticizing and judging people for using Pinterest at all? Why are we not taking the time to understand that some people don't have a life schedule where they can dedicate their life to be a diehard, by the book witch? And they still want to be a witch because they still want to practice magic and they still want to practice witchcraft because it gives them a sense of belonging and it makes them feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves. And then they come to a community and they talk about these things. And the community that has opened up space for people like them turn right around and say, ha ha ha, you're a faker. That's not how that fucking works. Who the fuck are you to say that's not how that works? It doesn't work for you in your own narrow spectrum and your own worldview. And if you took the butt plug out of your ass, you could understand that there are other things out there than your own worldview. Let people be happy. Let people do the things that bring them joy, and let people do the things that make them feel good about themselves, instead of talking down constantly and ripping people apart. Somebody's being problematic, call them out. Somebody's doing something a little bit wrong, address it. But if we're just going to be sitting here shouting at each other, belittling one another all the goddamn time, what are we doing for the community at large? What are we doing to give the outside world that, hey, this is what we're about? When because of this echo chamber, that is WitchTok, has become so large that WitchTok has now become synonymous with witchcraft to those who don't know the difference. Nobody is taking the time to understand that that attitude and that behavior and that is what the outside world is seeing. And it really just looks like a lot of metal music elitists. Oh yeah, you like a Lester Crowley? Name me one of his books other than the Book of the Law, and then maybe you're a real fan. Oh, dude, you're doing folk magic? You know that's like low magic, right? High magic is where it's at, man. I'm a witch too, you know, and you should not be talking down to me. Be cursed, you heathen! I'm just getting carried away at this point. The point is, oh my God, the discourse and the rhetoric and everything has devolved to such a point where nobody can take any of it fucking seriously. And I know that witch talk does not represent witchcraft. I know that pagan talk does not represent paganism. And I understand that the loudest voices are often the worst voices that are getting heard. But when this is everything that's being stated and shouted at the top of everybody's lungs within this echo chamber, it all becomes a blur, and the loudest things that people are hearing is all of this. And now with the collapse of context and the way that the algorithm ensures that, It is incredibly difficult to get a word in edgewise, especially when you are trying to do it from the point of view of myself, who, although I just reached 17K followers, my content is not getting out there. So it really feels like within the context of TikTok, it is so incredibly difficult for me to make a difference and talk some sense into some people. And if nothing else, I need to fucking step away from the platform for my own sake and my own sanity. Now, that doesn't mean that I am done talking about witchcraft. That does not mean that I am done talking about witchy and spiritual things. It is one of my main special interests. It is one of the things that has become one of the main core parts of me, and in some way always has. But I need to unplug from the community. And if I am going to do that, I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to do it here, where I am able to provide more context for the things that I want to talk about, where I'm able to dedicate more time in a video to talk more about the things without shouting into the void, feeling like the ripple in the ocean that I made is just a drop in the ocean. And I know I don't have nearly the same kind of following here that I do over there. But I don't have the same kind of chaos that's being constantly shoved into my eye sockets over here the way that I have it over there. And aside from all of that, I need to continue remembering who the fuck I am. I need to continue remembering that I need to be Darren first. Because even though I tried to be Melanie, even though I tried to be Sydney or Aiden, before I remembered I was Darren, even though I came out as a trans woman just to realize I'm a trans masked alter who loves to embrace my femininity. So y'all have, some of you at least, have seen many of my makeup looks. I mean, the one makeup look that I do because I'm good at it and I stick to it. That's not a lie about me, but it's more of my me-ness, my Darren-ness, more than it is part of my trans identity. It's not because I am a woman or an effeminate man. It is because that's Darren. That's because that's Darren. And the more and more that I shove my face into the witchcraft community and WitchTok and feel like I am climbing up a mountain that is never going to be ended with a boulder attached to my back that I gotta carry up with me, I don't think any of that's gonna get done at this rate. So, if you enjoy my witchy content, come on over here. I'm not only going to do witchy content, but I have decided that I am in fact going to start incorporating that over here. I don't know how. Honestly, that's still a work in progress. But at some point it's gonna get done. Probably starting with the part 2 to the Ouija board video. Because I said I was gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it, goddammit. But I am also going to continue making the orc logs, the orc vlogs, the whatever the hell else I want to do. Because even if a YouTube channel gets niched into a demographic, it's not to the same degree or caliber that a TikTok page does. So I can still make all the content that I like while also making the content that you guys have come to enjoy over on TikTok. But it is going to change, and it's still going to be me. But I can't do it as Melanie anymore. Because being Melanie is fucking killing me. So, before I end the video, let me reintroduce myself. Hello, my name is Darren fucking Taylor. Yes, middle name fucking. I like to play guitar. I love to sing and scream. I love arguing with people so long as it is in a controlled and safe environment where everybody can walk away and have a beer afterwards. I sometimes have a hard time dealing with my big feelings that I don't know how to process because I am a traumatized autistic medium. I am a trans masked alter living in a trans femme body because the point of making my body feminine was to become Darren. And at the end of the day, aside from anything else, this is supposed to be my content. whatever the hell I want to talk about. I'm going to start talking about more witchy stuff again. Here. Because going back through some of my old videos, I realized that I said I wanted to do that years ago. This channel was always supposed to be a little corner in the internet where people could get away to and simply be entertained. And if you learned something along the way, that felt good to me. But I also realized that when I wanted to bring my Jaquel character to life, one of the main emphases was that Jaquel was supposed to always have been a dramatized, hyperinflated caricature of myself. And I didn't realize until that I realized that I was Darren, was that even though I was writing myself, I was writing Jaquel as Darren. And that was actually one of my main clues to realize, oh hey, I've been Darren at least that long. But even though I do still want to bring Jaquel to life, my main goal was a misplaced desire to bring Darren back to life, which is something that I've been struggling with for a long time. But now I think I'm finally ready to do it. This is me. My name is Darren, host of this DID system, which we have affectionately referred to as the Dark Crystal System, or you may refer to us all as Thra, because that's the name of the land in the Dark Crystal System, is Thra. And before I continue on too long, I'm going to take off. Until next time, much love, peace out, namaste, and goodbye.